Superman is like a symbol of like standing up to the fears of technology. You know, the original Superman before Action Comics #1, The Reign of the Superman short sci-fi story by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Before their comic book days, that was a whole story about how a scientist created a potion that made a man really, really smart, and the man turned against and killed his creator. And I feel like that's a pretty clear metaphor for science. Like, if science goes awry, if we keep pushing the envelope faster than we have to regulate it and check its ethics, then we're just going to end up destroying ourselves. Our inventions are just going to kill us. And like that ties pretty clear into like nuclear weapons. Like the scientists who created it, there's this super famous quote from one of the people who worked on the nuclear bomb, who's just like, now I am become death, destroyer of worlds. And he felt super remorseful about it. And the fact that was the first draft of Superman is telling, but also the fact that Superman literally on the cover of Action Comics #1 is taking a car, like a symbol of American progress and technology, and he's smashing it into a rock like a caveman. I feel like is a pretty clear symbol of Superman standing up to the fears of industrialism. And like, Metropolis is a city. Like, it's a pretty clear futuristic, like, not futuristic, but it's supposed to be, an advanced, like, city. Like a symbol of industrial technology and, like, the advancements of that America made at that time. It is a metropolis. And yet, he takes a car and somewhere in Metropolis finds a rock to smash it against. Like, that doesn't seem accidental. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I don't know. There's Superman in my head, early Superman is clearly this symbol of scientific progress, and standing up to the fears and anxieties that the population had at the time. I wrote a whole section about how Superman was like, he was originally a very socialist superhero, and again, I know people are gonna say I'm reaching, but there's a lot of, like, his very first stories, it wasn't him standing up to, like, extraterrestrial threats or monsters or anything like that. It was literally him just trying to get better conditions for workers in coal mines and whatnot. Like, you know... I love that version of Superman because he just cares about the common man. He doesn't care about... This was before the time where he was fighting... Yeah, before he was fighting, like I said, big monsters or aliens. He was just, like, out for the average person and trying to just improve their lives and trying to say, like, hey, this coal mine operator doesn't care about his workers, and he's just profiting from all of their hard labor. And he's not doing anything but making money. So Superman, a superhero with incredible superpowers that could do pretty much anything I wanted, I'm going to take time out of my day and I'm going to right this wrong. I think it's so telling that the creators of these comics back in the day, they created a character who was strong and fast and impervious to harm, and what they did is they didn't use him to conquer anything. They didn't, like, send him out to places to, like, lead an American charge or whatever and like conquer land or win wars or anything. They just used him to solve problems in their own backyard, and I think that's so awesome. It's so cool that Superman wasn't used originally as this, you know, as like a weapon, as like a human weapon. He was literally just used as, I see an injustice happening, and I'm going to correct it. I'm going to right that wrong. And I just love that version of Superman. And like, I can't stress enough how cool that is, that was the first thing that these writers and artists thought of. Like, that's so good. And it's just like, when you look at people who like write comics today, I'm a great example of this. I used to write comic books in middle school and high school about superheroes because I loved superheroes. And my first instinct was always to turn superheroes and like have them face a giant threat, like a city leveling threat or a world ending threat. And because like that's just kind of the grammar of superhero comics that I feel like most of us have grown up with. But at the time, that didn't even cross their mind. The threats were just everyday threats of corrupt politicians and corrupt businessmen and, you know, workers in terrible working conditions and people who, you know, live in slums, and Superman wanted to go and fix up their houses. And like, it's such, they didn't think about superheroes as like warriors. They thought about superheroes as, at least Superman. They didn't think about Superman as a warrior. They thought of Superman as a tool that you could use to fix the problems that you see in the society around you. And like, that is my favorite version of Superman. Ugh. Sorry if I'm just going on a big tangent right now. Superman is a man who serves his community. Yeah. And I don't even think he has to serve his community. He just has to see that something is wrong and wants to do something about it. You know? Superman, there's another story where Superman wanted to, like, I think Clark Kent was on an investigative story in prison where he was like a prisoner undercover or something like that. And he saw that even prisoners were treated horribly. And he wanted to fix that. And like, who creates a superhero? And one of their first thoughts is, I'm going to use this person to make sure that prisoners aren't dehumanized. Like, that's so cool. You know? And then we just have Superman now who, like, punches, like, aliens and whatnot. And it's whatever. And, like, you know, action stories are cool. And I'm not going to hate on that. I love a good action story. I love a good intergalactic space story. And you can write a lot of interesting themes and really cool stuff in there. But the blunt storytelling of back in the day of trying to be like, this is something that I see as wrong, and I'm going to create a character who's going to go in and fix it. It's great, and I love it. I'm loving every second of it.